All right, shalom to the elect of Israel. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. And what I said was all the praises, honor, and glory belongs to Yahweh, who is the Heavenly Father, whom the world ignorantly calls God, in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai, who is the Messiah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus, in the name of the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect of Israel. And this lesson is is going into basically how the world is starting to move towards the MOTB, man. All right, which is the chip you should know by now. The world is starting to move towards the Karagma. Okay. And it's, as we know, as our apostles and elders, all right, and brothers of Great Millstone have told you that Esau, he does things by gradualism, gradually bringing these things on. Okay, so as you've heard, the UK is going to come with mandatory digital IDs. All right. Now, this is off of an official Instagram page called
I do not. Can I see your Brit? I do not.
There's a bunch of posts here that I want to show, Lord willing, in this lesson. But let me just see. All right, so yeah, it's a bunch of official European Instagram pages, right, that posted this, that says Europe to replace passport stamps with biometric entry. Biometric means body measurements. I remember Apostle Tahar said that, basically, all right, that biometric has to do with, body measurements. For example, they're trying to, identify that it's you by, maybe a face scan, an eye scan, an example of a biometric is when, you touch your thumb on your phone to unlock it. That's an example of a biometric. So they say Europe to replace passport stamps, because when you travel, right, your passport, if you travel out of the country, your passport gets stamped. Okay, it says they want to replace that with biometric entry and exit system. So they want to put, instead of using you to stamp your passport to come in and out, they want to use a system that has to do with body measurements for entry and exit. It says from October 12th, 2025. The thing down here says starting October 12th, 2025, 29 European countries will begin phasing in the new entry-exit system, or EES for short, replacing traditional passport stamps with biometric data collection at borders. See? It says the system is designed to modernize border controls, speed up entry, and improve security. However, travelers will no longer receive physical passport stamps as souvenirs of their trips. The change will apply across much of Europe, including countries such as France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Greece, Switzerland, and more. And as you see, they have that EU flag up there. And what the European Union is, all right, is a bunch of European countries, right, basically that come together for they deal with foreign policy. They come together to make a single market. Okay, they come together to create a single market. Basically, they come together. They move. They try to deal with things collectively as one. People, because you have member countries, right? So, for example, say you got, as it says, France, right, and Greece. Okay, say that somebody in France wanted to go to Greece or whatever, et cetera, since they're a part of the EU, that they can basically do that without all the hassle, all right, of border checking and all that. But as you see here, they're coming with biometric entry and exit systems, man. Okay. Now there's, like I said, a bunch of videos here, like 9 posts, okay, that I want to show, right? But these have to do with the the way this world is going towards the digital IDs and everything. Now this one, now I'm gonna go through this, all right, or Willing, but with Bill Gates, I don't, they said, or if you try to, fact check it, they said that he didn't say this, but I mean, look at what he was doing in 2020. It's not hard to believe that Bill Gates did say this, but check this out.
Digital IDs must be accepted by U.S. citizens by 2028 or risk exclusion from society. I think that's what the Bible warns about. You will neither be able to buy or sell without the mark.
All right, and what digital IDs, right? Just giving you it on your phone or whatever. That's not the MOTB, okay? That's not the M of the beast itself. All right, MOTB is that chip. When they try to put that chip in you, in your flesh, that's when you say it's a no-no. All right. All right. Let me just try to play some more. Let me play this one.
Spoken about enough. Vietnam closed another 86 million bank accounts a week after Thailand froze 3 million bank accounts. And you guys want to know the whole reason why they're doing this to people? It's because people aren't trying to comply with this whole digital ID thing. Basically, they're trying to digitize everything. They're trying to digitize your identity. They're trying to automate and digitize the jobs and the workforce. They're also trying to automate and digitize the financial industry. And it's happening in Thailand, bro. Like, this isn't just some Western concept. You often see people talk about, like, is the end times only happening in America? No, they do it in these other countries where media isn't that popular because they can get away with it much better. People will go along with it. It's easier for them to manipulate when all the eyes aren't on said topic. And it's coming here. Yeah, it is. I'll show you. Quick Google search. Is digital IDs coming to America? Yes, they are coming to the US. And it says here that digital IDs can be saved in digital wallets like an Apple wallet or a Google wallet. Guys, look, we're here. This is really happening, bro. Like, Terminator, all these movies, WALL-E, iRobot, like all these movies, they tried to warn us, bro. And it's not that they tried to warn us, they really just were letting us know what's going to happen in the future. Will you be getting a digital ID? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, let me know your thoughts regarding this digital ID and what all you think is really going on here. But hey, we were warned. We definitely were warned. The Bible says in Revelation 13 that no man would be able to buy or sell save he receive a mark. So I'll leave that there. You let me know what you think that means. I do not see this being spoken.
All right. So you heard of this guy, was doing, it says September 19, 2025 in that article he has right here on the screen right now. Right, so this is recent, okay? Let me just see what's set up in here. It says pull your money from the banks. He said Jesus is coming fast, etc. So Vietnam apparently closed 86 million bank accounts a week after Thailand froze 3 million, right? You got that, okay? And this one, I'm gonna read the caption first, right? Oh wait, no, where was it? Yeah, I'm gonna read the caption first here. It says Whitney Webb, and I'm gonna replay it. Whitney Webb, one of the best independent investigative reporter around, breaks down a coordinated global push for a new dystopian system of control, marrying digital ID with CBDCs. This is a conspiracy. It's all in their it's all in their own documentation. So she's basically explaining, digital IDs, the combination of digital IDs with CBDCs. It says, well, I guess they quoted her, so I'm gonna play it now.
Global policy push for digital IDs as the new form of government-issued identification credentials. And they're essentially all based on your biometric data, which can be your fingerprints, your face, the iris of your eyeball. And the idea is essentially to collect all of that data and have it housed or have it tied directly to your digital ID. So your physical ID will be mapped to the digital ID. Digital IDs are not really a separate project from CBDCs and this new digital financial system. And UN documentation and also documentation from the Bank of International Settlements, they very overtly state that CBDCs and digital IDs are meant to go together, and without digital IDs, the CBDC digital finance system cannot exist. One of the reasons it can't exist without that is because of the KYC functionality built into this digital financial system. They have the know your customer protocols. They have to know who you are. And so they want to have your wallet tied to a digital ID and have that digital ID be mapped to your physical ID through the biometric data collection. So there's different efforts to make digital IDs either as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. There's also the efforts of Sam Altman of OpenAI and his WorldCoin project, whereby you scan your iris, you give them the biometric credentials of your eyeball, they give you a unique identifier, a digital ID, and it's inherently tied to a digital wallet. That is the same model the UN is using. They've already implemented it for refugees getting food assistance from the World Food Program. It's called Building Blocks. It's on blockchain. It involves refugees scanning their irises, and in order to buy food or receive their rations, they have to check out of a grocery store style place in the refugee camp, and they check out biometrically with an eyeball scan, and then the amount of food they have, the monetary value of that is subtracted from their digital wallet connected to their digital ID and their iris. So ID 2020, the UN and other stakeholders in this particular sphere often argue that the reason this is necessary is because of what they call the identity gap. And the identity gap is the claim that the lack of digital ID is preventing people, mainly the world's poor, from accessing essential services, whether it's banking, whether it's education, whether it's healthcare. They claim the only way for these people to be able to access these services is to onboard them to these identity schemes. There's a coordinated global...
All right, so she basically, I know she mentioned ID 2020, and that was a while ago, but basically what she was saying is the relationship between a digital ID and a CBDC. They have a relationship with each other, meaning they work together, you know? And she explained it, so you heard that, all right? This gives an example.
Brick card, please.
I don't have one. I don't have a smartphone.
Can I get another pint, please? Sorry, sir. Your Brick card says you've exceeded your alcohol quota for this week.
Sorry, sir. Your Brick card says you've already flown twice this year. We're having to restrict passengers with higher than average emissions profiles.
Sorry, I'm afraid your funds have been temporarily frozen. Your recent social media post did not align with the government's narrative.
Sorry, I'm afraid your Brick card says you cannot purchase any more meat this week as part of our commitment to achieving net zero.
I've just logged in using my Brick card and it's saying I've already had 3 hours of internet today and it's locked me out. Can I see your Brick?
See? There's that. Oh, thought I saw, bear with me a second. Thought I saw a post of Andrew Tate under it. Alright. But anyway, there's another one.
A 15-year scheme created by the United Nations.
History is truly at a turning point.
What becomes immediately apparent is that fulfilling a lot of these would require unlimited government power.
There's always been a group of people that thought they had a level of intelligence that was so unique that they needed to dominate the world.
Right? You look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Who gives you rights? Not God, the government.
2030 is a...
You know, and this is what he wants, that NWO. That's exactly what he wants, man. That NWO, man. It says one world, one currency, one identity, one system, and zero freedom. He wants that control, you know? That's what he wants. And this gives an example of, you know, that, you know, being that they, you know, try to go along with this system, or being that they, you know, will try to go along with the system, you know, how things might get.
I will. Here is 3 grams of sheep explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough penetrate the skull and destroy the contents.
You see, it said you try to exercise free speech in 2028. So we see where this stuff is going, and they used gradualism to bring it all along. All right. Now, when you actually go online, right, it says digital IDs, right? And we know the UK is doing it. Okay, but look, you know, it even says here 2 days ago from Reason Magazine, it says first the UK, next the US. Britain's digital ID plan should scare Americans. It says, and this came out September 29th, 2025, so 2 days ago. Now, you know, being tomorrow, October 2nd, 3 days ago. It says, once created, a digital ID system will prove catnip to politicians who want to track where we go, online and off. The UK may be about to get even more dystopian. Prime Minister, and let me look at this word dystopian. We might be hearing this a lot. Dystopian, relating to or denoting an imagined state or society where there is great suffering or injustice. Simple. It's a whole bunch of a society where, you know, it's a lot of suffering and injustice, you know, going to come from this digital ID. It says Prime Minister Keir Starmer proposed a plan last week that would require every adult in the United Kingdom to have a digital ID in order to work in the country, with these IDs becoming mandatory by 2029. Employers would be required, and that's the thing, it could be way sooner than 2029, man, you know? And the fact that we're in October now of 2025, it feel like this year just started, you see? So, you know, I'm going, you know, even if it, just say, you know, if it was to get to 2030, look, you still gonna have to hold on to the faith no matter what. Because that's what, you know, they plans and everything, you know, when they really want to try to implement that MOTB, you see? But you see how fast stuff is moving, though. Because now they just started talking about, well, not just started, but now, you know, they're trying to implement this mandatory digital ID. It says employers will be required to consult an app-based system containing a person's name, photo, birth date, nationality, and residency status, rather than check physical IDs or national insurance numbers, the UK's version of a social security number before hiring. All right. Now, it says the proposals are the government's latest bid to tackle illegal immigration, with the new ID being a form of proof of a citizen's right to live and work in the UK, reports Sky News. The so-called Brit card, which, you know, we saw in that example of that old lady, it says the so-called Brit card will be subject to a consultation and will require legislation to be passed before being rolled out. In the UK and the US, authorities already employ an array of government-issue identification mechanisms: passports, physical driver's license, social security, or national insurance numbers. So how different could a digital ID be? Very different, say civil libertarians, privacy experts, and cybersecurity gurus. All right, so now, right, let me just see, coming to America. Americans might think this is something only the British must worry about, but a lot of bad ideas regarding technology and speech in Europe, and especially the UK, seem to wind their way over to the US eventually. The UK's Online Safety Act has spawned similar regulations or calls for similar regulations in the United States. It says the US has already taken steps toward creating a digital ID-like system with real ID. That's, you know, what they would tell people they got to get, you know, a real ID, right? And as of June 13th, states had launched digital driver's license systems, and an additional 21 have passed legislation that would enable or study such a system, according to the ACLU. New Jersey just enacted such a bill in August. Now, here's the thing, right? Because it says coming to America. Like that first guy we saw, I believe it was the first one, but either way, you know, so the one who showed Vietnam and Thailand, you know, freezing everyone's bank accounts and all of that. What he did was ask if digital IDs are coming to America. Now, if you Google online, you know, are digital IDs coming to America, under the AI overview, it says this. I typed in, will America implement digital IDs? And it says, under the AI overview, it says, yes, aspects of digital IDs are already being implemented and expanded in the U.S. at the state level. So they already, you know, starting, you know, once again, it's gradualism, okay? gradualism, man. You know, they slowly conditioning, getting people used to this type of system. You know, slowly get people used to having digital IDs. You know, for example, you know, they make you tap to pay now, okay, and they do it as in the name of convenience. We know where this is going. These are steps. They try to tell you it's for convenience. They try to tell you, you know, Esau try to tell you that this is, you know, to make sure everything is secure, right? Hey, Sirach 12 and 10. Let me get that real quick. You know, you think this man is really trying to help you? Hell no. Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And Esau is our enemy. All right? All the heathens are our enemy, but Esau is, you know, like one of them, is like the main one, really. You know, never trust your enemy. Hey, back in 2020, they told you that shot was you know, they told you that was beneficial for you, right? And they demonized the people who were speaking against it. Now look at them. You see? Now look. You know? So going back. So never trust thine enemy, man. It says state level rollouts. Many U.S. states have launched or are developing mobile driver's license that are verifiable in digital wallets. You know? So it says path forward. All right, the U.S. It says decentralized approach. The U.S. approach is decentralized, with states taking the lead on mobile driver's license development. All right, I'm going to just read the key takeaway. All right, it says, while a single federally managed digital ID does not exist, the trend is toward greater integration of digital identity credentials, with states at the forefront and federal agencies providing support and acceptance. Let me see this. What's this article? October 1st, that's 2024. I mean, that's last year, though. All right? But it ain't that long ago. Which is lawmakers want government to promote use of digital IDs. This article came out last year, right? So under the picture, it says representative or public, however they call it, Bill Foster says shown here leaving the Capitol in May 2022 is backing legislation to promote the use of government-sponsored digital identification services. See? TSA to accept digital IDs from a number of states, August 12, 2025. All right? So you see where this stuff is going, man. It's going towards the MOTB, right? Told you this stuff was going to start getting digital. Told you that. Now here's the thing. You know, us serving Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right, being in this truth. Look, when they try to come with, you know, with the MOTB and everything, it's going to come to a point to where you're going to have to choose to either be down with this system, which is worshiping the image of the beast, right, or not, you know, and take, you know, and suffer being outcasted. And you should suffer to be outcasted. You know, you should rather be outcasted, man. Because look, let me say this, right? I was telling the brothers the other day, when they come with that MOTB, okay, and like our apostles and elders say, you know, once they want to put that chip in you, then that's when, you know, that's when we're gonna, you know, officially detach from the society. But other than that, you know, using like CBDCs and digital IDs and all of that, that's not the chip. So you can use that, okay? You know, but once they try to put that, you know, go under the flesh, then that's where we're gonna, you know, detach from the society. All right, but look though, right, when they come with that MOTB, that chip, right, when they come with that, you know, I was telling the brother this, like, look, we're gonna have to be outcasted, right? So it's better, you know, because it's better to be outcasted, you know, and not have the charagma. Because then look, with all this control that they're doing, because the MOTB, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna be able to control you with that, you know. You're gonna be giving them control, right? You know, they're gonna be able to just do different things and monitor different things about you with this charagma, right? So for those that take it, right, being that they would have control, what if Esau just decides to, because they don't like something you did, to shut off your chip? What if they just do that and now you're outcasted from society? So now here you are outcasted from society with the Charagma, when you could have just stood for the Lord and been outcasted without the Charagma. You see? So there's no point in getting the Charagma, man. There's no point. There's no point, man. There's no point. And this time, I'll come back to this, Lord willing, but this time is coming across the whole planet Earth. Thought America wasn't going to get touched? Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is what? When Esau makes this thing mandatory, makes his chip mandatory. It says, which shall come upon all the world to try them to dwell upon the earth. Right? This thing is going to, this time period, where this devil is going to make it mandatory to have this Charagma, right, is going to come upon the whole world, man. That thing back in 2020, that was just a precursor. Okay, that was a trial run, and now we see what's happening. You see that was a trial run now. So I expect this, Lord willing, to amp up in 2026. I expect it to amp up now. 2026, I could expect the Charagma. Well, I can expect this whole thing to amp up now. Lord willing, they come with the Charagma in 2026. It's like as Apostle Tahar says, that has to happen before we get up out of here. And when we know that comes, right? We know that when that time is here, then we're going to know we're close to the destruction of this place, okay? And Yahweh's return, But that has to happen first, all right? Before World War III, officially breaks out. And that's true, okay? But this time is coming upon the whole world, man, all right? There's no point in getting the chip. There's no point. People are going to take it to, let's read it, right? This is Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 15. Now it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? The image of, now let me look at this word life real quick. Life. Actually, no, let me keep reading. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. What is the image of the beast? Right? What is the beast is talking about, right? Well, let me get this. Let me look up icon. Okay. That's the word for image in the Greek, icon or icon, right? It says an image, figure, likeness. Okay. A likeness to what? Ancient Rome. Okay. This system and society we live in is modeled after ancient Rome. You see? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, right? So what? We see through America, okay, that what? Ancient Rome, we could see ancient Rome through America, that, it's we're living in it, it's here. That's what, that's what it means by the image of the beast should both speak, right? It's speaking, it's here, okay? We're living in it. This whole Romanized system, all right, that was prophesied to come by, by the revelation the Lord gave to Apostle John. We're living in it today. It's speaking, it's happening, right? So the image of the beast should both speak, right? And it says should both, so two things are going to speak, right? We're living in it. It says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image, and worship meaning you're along with this system, right? You're along with this system where it's going, okay? You're down with this society. You have people like that, these, like, for example, patriotic Americans. You have people that's, all into this place, they're all with the holidays and all of that. They don't want to, those type of people, right? They all for this place. They all for Babylon the Great. They all for, America and everything. They all for how this, system is. They're all for it. You have people like that, right? It says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast. So it says should be killed, right? So basically, there's gonna come a point in time to where, though it says and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, those that don't go along with this system, right? It says should be killed. Now, there's a thing. When you look at this word "killed" in the Greek, right? The Greek word is apoktino. I'm saying that right. But it says to kill in any way, whatever, right? But then when you go to the root word, it says from ato, saying this right, or apo, it says of separation. And getting right to the point, of any kind of separation of one thing from another, by which the union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. So in other words, if you're not down with the system and where it's going, okay, where it's going digitally, you know, it's really going towards that chip, which is the mark of the beast. If you're not down with it, you're going to be out. You're going to be killed, or in other words, what? Separated, okay, from society. You're going to be an outcast, all right? Because as it says, you're not going to be able to buy, sell, all these different things. You're not going to be able to do it, because that's how society is going to be run. So you're going to be an outcast. You see? And also too, you know, if you they're going to pass legislation. They're going to pass laws, you know, to literally put, you know, those that speak out against this system to death. You see? You know, they had the mindset like we do here in the truth. They're going to pass laws like that too. Okay? Verse 16. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond meaning whether you're in jail or not, right? To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that's what's coming. Is the hour of temptation is going to come upon the whole world. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay? So without this charisma, you won't be able to buy, you know, and that means what? You ain't going to be able to... Let me look at this word buy, actually. I mean, we obviously know what it means, but let me just see if it gives any meat. Buy, it says to be in the marketplace, to attend it, to do business there. Buy or sell. See? You know? You won't be able to buy it. You know, you won't be able to go shopping. You know, you won't be able to pay your bills, your rent, your car, your utilities, your phone bill. Okay? Some people like to do what? Some people like to do deliveries and stuff. You know, you won't be able to buy it because you have to buy all of that. So that means, you know, people, you know, that's a convenient way for people to eat. A lot of Jake does that. You know, you won't be able to, you know, buy your DoorDash, your Uber Eats, Postmates, Grubhub. You know, you ain't going to be able to do those type of things. You're not going to be able to even, you know, pay for it, because when you pay, you're buying something. You're buying services when you pay for something. So you're not going to be able to, you know, pay for the hobbies and things you like to do, right? This time is coming. It says or sell, and you know you ain't gonna be able to sell, all right, unless you have that chip, all right. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is chi psi stigma, right? When you look up the Greek word stigma, okay, see it's chi psi stigma, okay, and these equal 666. All right, when you look up this Greek word stigma, right, it says a mark pricked in or branded upon a body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander branded or pricked, which means cut, into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were, see, what master or general they belong to, right? And that's what I got to read on that, okay? But it's talking about to cut into something, right? And it says the number, and it says, I'm going to read verse 18 again. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, right? And his number is 666. So, you know, when you take, so the number, you know, the mark and the name of the beast, right? They all like basically the same thing, okay? Because when you take the charagma, you know, you basically, you know, you're basically taking Esau's name, you know. That's basically what it is, you know. And the apostles and elders have broken this down, all right? But, you know, we see where this stuff is going, man, okay? And it's coming to Babylon the Great, like it or not. It's a part of prophecy, okay? It's a part of prophecy, man, all right? But when that word stigma, okay, you know, it said to show ownership, yeah, you know, in this chip is also like a digital all. You can read about, I'll get it. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 21, and verse 5. It says, "And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." And the awl looks like an ice pick. Okay, so let me just look it up real quick. Yeah, see? An awl. That's basically what an awl is, man. Okay? Through the ear, see? You know? Ancient. Yeah. Okay? You know? So it says, "Then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door, or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." And that was something that, you know, we did in the ancient world, all right? You know, with a Hebrew servant, okay? You know, back when we had our land and everything, right? But the same thing is likened unto this, the MOTB, okay? You take that, you're basically telling Esau you want him to be your master forever, you see? So, I mean, it makes sense, you know, as to why the Lord is going to completely destroy you, you know, and without any forgiveness for you, you know, if you take that chip, man. All right? Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall..." So if you are down with the system and you take this charagma, because I mean, if you are down with the system and where it's going, right, you're going to take the charagma. Okay, if you're, you know, all for this place and everything, you're going to take the charagma, right? And also, I meant to mention back in Revelation 13 and 15, you know, where it said those, you know, basically that ain't down with the system would be separated or outcasted. You have examples of that in the past. You know, people speaking up against the corruption of this system, right? They, you know, and you have certain people, even celebrities in the past, will speak up about the corruption of the system, and they would be, you know, outcasted. They would be, you know, defamed, all of that stuff. Okay. But back in Revelation 14, I'm read verse 9 again. "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand." So if you take this, so if you're a part of this system, you know, if you're all for it, right, and you receive that chip anywhere at all in your body, you know, it doesn't have to just be the right hand. And you think the Lord is going to deliver you just because you took, you know, the chip in your left hand or left leg or in your back or in your toe? You think the Lord is going to do that for you? Hell no. Right? It says, so what's going to happen to you if you take it? Verse 10, "The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb." So you take it, you're going to be destroyed. You see? So basically, you lost all chances of repentance after taking the charagma, you know, the MOTB. You're going to be in that nuclear fire that's coming. Okay? And so it's no, man, look, it is no reason for you to, you know, bow your knee to this to the image of the beast. Okay, it's no reason for you to do that. Okay, because once again, basically this chip is going to give Esau total control, right? And even if you take the chip, if you do something they don't like, they can shut it off, and now you're outcasted from society, right? With the charagma, and you're going to be destroyed. And guess what else you might receive? Revelation 16 and 2. "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." Okay? So, you know, there's going to be some type of sore that these people get for taking the charagma. I mean, you go into sore, it goes into like boils, you know, ulcers, things like that, right? that people are going to get from taking this charagma. You know, simple as that. And yeah, that shot in 2020, it's like it said 2020. That shot back in 2020, that was a real precursor, because people that took that was what? They got all messed up, you know, magnetized skin, you know, magnets would stick to them, you know, half of their faces were freezing. Some of them would, you know, drop dead and all of that. Some couldn't even sleep, all of that stuff. So what do you think gonna happen when this chip come along? People gonna get that, man. People gonna get these boils and everything, these sores, these ulcers that's coming. So there's no point in you to take the chip, man. It's better to just be outcasted and you know, trust in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai than to take the charagma, possibly be outcasted, right? And even if you're not outcasted, you're still gonna be destroyed, still gonna receive that this sore ulcer. But in the sense of being outcasted, it's better that you know, hold on to the faith, trust in the Lord, and be outcasted rather than to take the chip and be outcasted, possibly. You know, your chip turned off. Now you can't operate in society. Now you're outcasted with the charagma. And on top of that, you're still going to be destroyed. And you might get an ulcer. You know, one of this grievous sores talked about here. So there's no point. All right, but we can see that we can see where stuff is going, man. We can see that, you know, it's close. So I'm going to end it with this. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision, which is the prophecies, World War III, all hell breaking loose, and even the hour of temptation, which is the MOTB being made mandatory, you know, and across the whole world, says is yet for an appointed time. So the Lord got a certain time that this stuff is going to pop off at, you know. We don't never know, you know, exactly what time exactly, you know, these, you know, prophecies we're waiting on is going to happen, right? But we have signs to look out for, and through prophecy, knowing what the prophecy is, we could tell when things are getting close to it, right? It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, because it's going to happen. Though it tarry, though it might take a bit long, or feel like it's taking long, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. So you're going to have to be patient, because this thing is coming. All right, it's coming, man. All right? So that's basically it. So with that, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, every well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to the elect.